Hello there. I'm going to talk today some more about the six Paramitas. Now, you might remember that this has a correspondence, a parallel with the precepts that we're familiar with and that are practiced, say, in the Theravada tradition. Mind you, Theravada monks will have very many more than five precepts. They probably have a couple of hundred at least. Anyway, in the Mahayana tradition, we don't talk about the precepts, we talk about the paramitas, the perfections of behavior, the perfections of how the bodhisattva orientates to the world. So I've already talked about three of them. So the first one was generosity. The second one was what you could call natural morality or discipline, but discipline has rather unpleasant connotations for some people. Let's call it natural morality. And the third one, which was patience. And now we come to the fourth, which is diligence. And the word for that in Pali is virya. Virya, energy in pursuit of what is wholesome. It's not just like mindless energy or wild energy. I mean, it might be wild, but, not wild as we think of it. So, I mean, the first thing to say is that without energy, there's no spiritual life, and that all the other paramitas certainly need a lot of energy behind them in order to fulfill their aims. So, yes, giving, generosity requires energy in terms of awareness and a willingness to see clearly what others need. And, discipline or natural morality, it needs the boost of energy. It needs us. I mean, when we're talking about energy, we're talking really about a quality of awareness, you could say, a quality of awareness that's alive, that's bright, that's interested. And more than that, I would say it's an energy that is clear about where we have our sights, what we want to achieve. And you can only do that really by having a perspective on your life, such as the fact that life is very brief. It's not going to last very long. So where do you want to put your energy? What is important to us? What really matters? I've been very struck actually hearing a lot, particularly in the pandemic, that people come to realise, especially when their life is threatened, that what is really important is love. That's what's really important, the connections that we have, and to love, that is the most important thing. But that can be a bit abstract, can't it? And that's why when we practice Buddhism, we kind of look at all these individual aspects of our behavior, of body, speech, and mind, so that we can, just become more aware of how we live our lives, what we're doing with our lives, and whether it's going in the direction that we want. So it has long fascinated me that we know exactly what's really good for us, what's helpful, and yet often we don't follow that path. So, we can certainly see it with, keeping ourselves healthy, for example. It might be that we know what a good diet is, we know what good exercise is, and yet it's very hard to follow that through. And it's hard to get a balance as well, I think, because some people may be over-disciplined, kind of driving themselves, and maybe they need to soften up a bit. But I think on the whole, we don't necessarily have a clear idea and stick to it of what's really going to be helpful. So this word virya, energy in pursuit of what is good or what is wholesome, has got its parallel once again in earlier Buddhist teachings, for example in the Noble Eightfold Path, where the word for energy, the description of energy is in the form of the 4 right efforts. The 4 right efforts. So you might remember, if you've come across those before, that is preventing negative states of mind from arising and eradicating those negative mental states that have already arisen. So that's 2 of them. And then the other 2, not surprisingly, are developing positive states of mind that have not yet arisen and maintaining those positive states of mind that are already there. So once again, this requires a great degree of awareness. So when we meditate, I mean, it's one of the things we can do. We can look at what actually is in our experience that we want to maintain. What is in our experience that we want to eradicate? What is in our experience that is not yet in our experience, but that we want to develop? You know, that sounds a bit mechanical, but actually using some of those ways of applying ourselves to meditation can be very helpful, because often we're not particularly aware of what is in our awareness. But thinking a bit more about virya, about energy, I was very struck when I found something that Paramita said, which is she translated virya as joyful enthusiasm. Joyful enthusiasm. It puts a much more positive perspective on it, doesn't it? So she said, letting go of our perfectionism and connecting with the living quality of every moment. I thought that was very interesting, a very interesting statement. Letting go of our perfectionism. So we're not applying energy because, you know, here we are, a dreadful person, and, you know, if I really, really try, I'll be a better person. This really takes the effort out of it, doesn't it? Letting go of our perfectionism. We're not perfect, we're human beings, and we're not going to be perfect. But instead, connecting with the living quality of every moment. So she's talking about awareness. She's talking about encouraging us to be aware. So the opposite of that actually is laziness. The opposite of not applying diligence, not really using our energy well, is simply a form of laziness. Being wanting an easy life, wanting to take the easy option, rather than really knowing who we are and how our mind works, and what we want to change about that, what we want to move towards, and what we want to move away from. So I think that's really encapsulated in that way of putting it of Pema Chodron, joyful enthusiasm. So yeah, in a way, if we use our energy joyfully, then our heart's going to be in what we're doing. And that's really important. It's no good applying ourselves in some cold, detached way, which perhaps sometimes the 4 right efforts can sound a bit like that. I don't think they are. I just think they're pointing us to a kind of slightly more disciplined way of looking at what is in our experience, what is our mind doing. But yeah, if we can be joyful with that, that will immediately bring energy. You know, energy and joy go together, don't they? So yeah, I'll leave it there for today. Bye for now.